Welcome and thank you for tuning in. This is the Derby Day edition of Bet Doctor. My name's Samantha Jane Todd and I'm joined by Nick Heathcote and DK while we dissect some amazing races this weekend. Boys, thanks for coming.
Hey, Sammy. It's good.
It's great to be here.
Excited.
Yeah, Derby Day.
Here we go.
Usually it looks really easy, but I'm finding the cards look really deep and tricky. What about you, DK?
No, they looked, there's a bit of guts to the fields, which is good. I mean, there's a small field in the Carbine Club, but and the lack of probably New Zealand and interstate horses, that you would think that might make things a bit easier.
Yep.
Because, we don't have to line up the different form lines, but no, it's a pretty deep program. Yeah, so looking forward to it.
How did we go last weekend?
Well, yeah, I'm a big-time believer in Cam O'Brien stuff. Like, he read the Caulfield Cup really well, and I butted up again in the Cox Plate. And what I'm loving about his analysis is he's not only finding the right horses to back, but he's getting the market right. So he told us that Armoury adrift, and then it just trims up late. So it's a sign of someone that knows what they're doing. So I was a little bit sick when Sir Dragonite ran past it, and it probably got a little bit too wet for Armoury. But, I think the analysis is quite sharp and just picking up little bits and pieces, with Trev stuff with the lanes and stuff like that. It's been great racing, but I can't wait to head to Flemington.
Yeah, no, I finally hit the target, mate.
Yeah.
Friday, Benalla.
Yeah.
Home you go, you good thing, Hillcrest Moses, which was good. It was one of those, was a good one because it had that turn of foot from the back of the field, but second up in its first prep had been forward. So the jockey just took luck out of the equation, rolled forward outside the lead and was smoking the pipe on the turn. It was good to see. So that was a little bank builder.
Yeah, easy money.
Carry on this week.
It was a matter of sort of when, not if, with you, DK. I was never in doubt. And there's a horse that I've got running around in the Melbourne Cup at big odds, Russian Camel Toe or Camelot. I thought his run in the Cox Plate was still pretty good. I thought the start before in the Caulfield Stakes, he sort of gave me the indication that he wants a lot further than the 2,000 metres. So I think he's had the perfect prep. So if you're a believer of Russian Camelot, I wouldn't be dropping off just yet. But
no, I mean, and then that SP, he was heavily tried.
Yeah.
What, he ran 380 hard?
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, in a big race like that, that's still showing what they project he can do. He probably hasn't run to that.
Yep.
But the models and the real smart stuff is telling you that for him to be $3.80 in a Cox Plate, he's a proper Group 1 horse.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at his runs at Flemington and they're real eye catchers and just big, roomy track. I wouldn't be jumping off him, but the groundswell around Tiger Moth, you mentioned it on last week's show, it just seems to be getting louder and louder. And if you look at the profile of the Melbourne Cups recently, it's those 4-year-old horses right down in the weights, and he just slots in nicely, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I'm not worried about anything out of the Cox Plate really to trouble him. Mm-hmm. It's a good solid Cox Plate, but it didn't rate that well.
Yep.
And you look at face value, the Moonee Valley Cup was a better race. Just on they were
on
out,
times, yeah.
out quicker, home quicker. So he would need a downpour, I think. Sir Dragonite, Armoury would be thereabouts. But the Cox Plate, it's going to quickly lose its lustre with me. That was the 100th running. And if these imports are going to turn up first up over here, like things are doing in the Melbourne Cup now, 1992 was Better Loosen Up, Superimpose, Let's Elope, all these naturalism, all these champions that we knew and supported all the way through the Spring Carnival matching each other.
Yep.
And now we're just going to be imports first up over here we've never heard of, savaging in the race. So, I'm a bit worried about it might lose its lustre with me, the Cox Plate, if that's going to be the case going forward.
Wow.
Winx maintained its lustre because she kept winning it and she's ours and everything. But if these imports keep turning up we never heard of and going to keep win it, it might quickly lose that.
TK, he's got a bit of a bee in the bottom. Didn't really see that one coming. Yeah, Hong Kong seems to be robbing us and so are the stud farms at the moment. So what about, I guess we've got a heap of experts on today's show, but have you got an early Black Booker or something that you like for Derby Day, or you probably have 100 of them?
We'll go to the Derby because it's the main race. And look, Young Werther's going to be hard to beat. He's the X Factor horse. He reminds me the way Danny O'Brien talks about him. It reminds me of how Paul Prushkett spoke about Surprise Baby.
Okay.
Surprise Baby, he debuted in a 1,200-metre maiden on his home track, Horsham Cup Day a couple of years ago. But Prushkett said, I could have debuted him over 2,000, because he's a stayer, but he's good enough to win over the shorter. So, Danny O'Brien kicked him off over 14, but I'd say the horse was ready. He could have kicked off over 2,000. He's got that natural stamina. So, anyway, I'll go around him. What I'll say, I think Hit the Shot's got all the horses covered out of the Caulfield Classic or the Norman Robinson.
Yep.
So if you can find, he's similar in the market to Let's Crack a Deal and say Alvarado, and I think he can beat them home. So maybe if you can find some head-to-head betting out there should be a few different head-to-heads on the markets. I think Top Sport will have a few and things like that. Second, third, fourth picks in the market racing each other. I think Hit the Shot's got. I don't know whether he can beat Young Werther, but he's got those horses. I think he's going to eat the 2,500. His best part of his work has been the last 100 metres of every race he's contested. He's 4 starts so far. He's one. I mean, the 2,500 can pull a few up, or pull a lot of them up.
Yep.
He's one horse that's going to plough through the line. So So he's going to run a race, but I'm not sure whether he can beat the X Factor of Young Werther.
Scoot, I'm keen to hear yours.
Yeah, well, it was a horse that I liked in the 1,000 Guineas, Agreeable, from the Anthony Freedman yard. It was huge. It was cricket score odds last start, and it hit the line really, really well in the fillies division of the Guineas. And it's got barrier 1 this time, 2,000 metre suits. Looks like a Flemington horse to me. Jai McNeil keeps the ride. And I just think Personal's just a little bit well found. Like there's chances with sort of Starrell and a couple of Salto Angel. There's, some forgive runs there with a couple of lamenesses. But, I think Agreeable's the Flemington horse. And it's by Sebring, so it's going to stretch out and trip and run really well.
Yeah, when they got the Group 1 placings, the form guides, all the ratings that they can't see around them. So it just has to be favourite, Personal. But you've got these rapid improvers, these lightly raced improving 3-year-olds that can still improve. So he's done his peak figure, and he's probably still got more to give at some stage, but can be well found in the market, those horses.
100%.
Because of the ratings,
Gosh, we're living up to our name already in this first segment. No mucking around here. Straight into some in-depth analysis. I love it. Coming up, we've got the Group 1 Derby, of course, and the Coolmoore Stakes. Trevor Lawson and Casey McCutcheon are dialing in for those two. Then we're going to Sydney to talk the Golden Eagle with Dream Team Matt. And lastly, over to Perth to talk to Terry Leighton. If you're doing the form for the weekend, make sure you head to puntingform.com.au. All the pros use it, and it is the greatest way to improve your punting. It has all your sectionals and your form guides and your database in one. You can do all your research and come to the track well prepared. Head to puntingform.com.au to sign up. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. It's your behind-the-curtains look at how pro punters bet. We are wasting no time. Make sure you've got your pen and papers, boys and girls. My name's Samantha Jane Todd. I'm here with DK and Scoot, and we are dissecting Flemington straight into the Derby with none other than Trevor Lawson. Welcome, Trevor.
Hi, Sammy. How are you?
Yes, Henry. What's doing, mate?
Hey, buddy.
DK, how are you?
Ready for a big one? Big week for you. Ooh.
Very big, yes.
10 races by 4 days or something. It's the biggest week of the year for the pros, isn't it?
Yeah. It's more so just the field sizes. They're all because everyone wants to run Cup Week, so they're full fields. So it's a lot of times it's like doing 12, 13 races on a normal card.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, let's get stuck in. So obviously, Derby Day, race number 7. We are looking at the Derby here. It's the rails in the true. The track's a good 4 at this point. There's only a couple of showers predicted between now and then. So magnificent draining track, nothing to be concerned about. Young Werther is the favourite here at $4. Cherry Tortoni $4.20. Hit the Shot $6.50. Alvarado $7. Let's Crack a Deal $9.50. And then we're out to double figures. So talk to us, Terry. Sorry, Trevor.
Well, there's no speed in the race. I thought Let's Crack a Deal would probably lead. Thought it went a bit slow the other day, so it might go a bit quicker here. Young Werther's got winkers on. I think they might have wanted to put him on last start, but they didn't. They've gone on this start. It missed the run on Saturday where they scratched, but the trainer doesn't seem too concerned. He seems to be able to get him fit. He did a similar thing with Russian Camelot earlier this year where he was happy to miss runs and then go to the grand final sort of off some miss runs. So I think he's got the knack to getting these horses sort of fit. It should have beaten easily sort of Alvarado and a couple others too last start, and then it's sort of 28 days. Winkers go on. The market had it favourite on Saturday early before the scratchings behind Cherry Tortoni, and then it came out and Cherry Tortoni won the race. So it's been a bit of a drift I've seen early markets, but I would suggest it probably would be solid in betting tomorrow. And from sort of a better draw, I think you can take up a position and clearly settle in front of the other danger, which is Cherry Tortoni.
Trev, what do you reckon about Danny O'Brien's comments saying it was a bit of a benchmark 64 and the Derby horses are too heavily penalised the following year for the Cups? Do you think he's on the money there?
Yeah, what's funny, I looked up just earlier today, and so since 2010, I think there's been three Derby winners that have won another race.
Wow.
Lion Tamer in 2010 won the Underwood. Ace High won the Derby in AJC Derby next year, and Tarzino won the Rosehill Guineas the next year. And they're the only, in the last 10 years, only three winners that have ever won another race. So, yeah, I would suggest, they do get sort of handicapped out of it. And it's a war of attrition, this sort of race. I think it's sort of, if I had a good horse, I wouldn't be running in it. I'd sort of only be running a horse that I thought was only going to be a stayer.
Have you got any thoughts on that changing the disc, bringing it back to a 2,000 metre race, Trev, or not really?
Not really, no. It's been there for, it's been there forever.
Yeah.
Caulfield tried to sort of turn that Norman Robinson into $1 million race a couple of years ago, but then they sort of didn't get the acceptors and that. So I'm happy to leave it because it's for specific horses. I don't know whether they should be racing for $2 million. They'd get the same field if they were racing for 750.
Yeah.
But because they're not going anywhere else. So I suppose, but you could win this race and you wouldn't have to win another race.
Trev,
in your career,
In the show intro, DK's got Young Werther clear on top, and then he thinks that Hit the Shot's got most others covered. How did you see the race? Is it that simple? Or
I got Cherry Tortoni's second pick. The only thing is it's going to be last. And I thought, sort of similar. I thought Hit the Shot was the best run out of the Caulfield race, out of the old Norman Robinson. And they sort of got, when they sprinted, it couldn't go with them, and it was strong late. So I thought it was the one that sort of could look for the trip. And I thought, Let's Crack a Deal. I thought it might improve. Sort of looked like it was going to drop out and run nowhere on the turn the other day and was still sort of fighting up the end. So I thought it might want just a bit more of a genuine speed. So I thought if Johnny sort of went to the front, he's not going to get any attackers. He might be able to sort of bowl along his own tempo and it might be hard to beat. But, I thought there was sort of, four main chances and then a gap, and then there's a very long, as usual in this sort of race, there's a very long tail.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
Maybe,
but he looks like getting a soft lead to Let's Crack a Deal. That's what I did notice.
Keep it.
It's just
go.
Sorry, unless some others go forward that sort of haven't gone forward before. That's all. But
I think Young Werther, despite the break between runs, is going to start really firm in the market.
He's now the premier trainer of stayers in the state, Danny O'Brien.
Clearly,
he just knows how to get him fit. He's got the right down at Barwon Heads, and he's got the right mix. And I think he'll dominate. Sort of, you will see his staying 3-year-olds, lightly raced ones, dominate in years coming to as well, which is a good sign.
Yeah, we need someone.
We need someone
carrying the can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, in his training statistics, there's no negatives. So he hasn't done a lot, but off 28 days going to this trip, it's only a small sample size, but he has won a race before around this distance, and also third up at sort of, to 2,400 metres plus. Again, he's trained winners off a small sample. It's only like 22 runners or something less, but it's something. It's not like, this is a key negative. And as I say, he did it earlier with Russian Camel. And if he thought it needed to run, he would have run it on Saturday.
Yeah, Trevor, just before I sort of mentioned a horse that caught my eye last start was Agreeable when we're looking over to the Wakeful Stakes. I thought she was a great run and looks like a horse that will improve dramatically to Flemington. What were your thoughts in the Wakeful?
I thought... this time, it's getting up to its distance range. From the inside barrier, it can settle a lot closer, and I've got its second favourite.
It's a good push
in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, last time I marked at 50 or something. So, but yeah, so I think it was sort of strong weight. I've got sort of personal favourite. It'll be thereabouts. And the Adelaide filly, Victoria Key, it was good behind. Actually, agreeable stalemate.
She was.
Yeah, it was sort of strong weight there. And I thought the only other chance was the Sydney filly Mirrorvale. It made a bit of ground off a hot pace, and the start before it was up on that brutal tempo in flight stakes. But again, it's another, it's a sort of skinny sort of race. And then, but I thought Agreeable looked the one that was sort of would be solid at the trip.
Yeah. Give it strength, Scurdy.
Yeah, give it lots of strength. I sort of hunted it after its run in the 1,000 Guineas. I started to hunt around for futures markets, and the bookies were too shrewd. They just didn't even have it in any of the Oaks markets. So, which horse would you take forward, or have you got an early Oaks tip for us, Trev? Question without notice.
It's not really my go.
Yeah.
No, I could tell you once the field came out. I don't really. I sort of don't do that sort of thing. The obvious answer is the horse that runs best in this race.
Yeah.
Will be the one. It'll be the Melbourne pick. It's the horse from Sydney supposed to be going there. I think it's David Payne's horse. But the horse that wins this race will be the pick from Victoria, sort of thing.
Right, that's sort of where I was heading, actually. So Victoria Key and Mirrorvale that you mentioned earlier, they've drawn wide gates in the Wakeful. This is over 2,000 metres. If you look at the shape of the track, it's actually a really long straight before you get to the first turn. How does the shape of the track influence your betting into the Wakeful versus something like the Derby, where the Derby has a really short straight until it gets to the first turn?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think the 2,000 metres start is not so bad. And also here, it's more about, like with the fillies, they're a bit lighter. It's more about them running the trip. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sort of so heavily into the barrier, where the Derby, it is only like a 300 metre or 350 metre or 400 to the corner. So those horses that are drawn wide, they've got to commit to going forward straight away, or they've got to go back, or they're going to be 6 and 8 wide. For the first part of the race. So that's why sort of, a horse like Cherry Tortoni, he's a get-back horse, and Forder, he's just going to be last, early, and then, so you would think he'll be settling, well behind his danger in Young Werther, because Young Werther can settle close from the barrier.
I think that's going to be critical.
Race, I thought Mirrorvale would go, I thought with Williams on it, he would go forward. It's been going forward sometimes. It went back last start. It went forward the start before. Williams seems to do what he likes. And so in a race where it's not massive speed and there's a lot of roadblocks in the race, I think you want to settle in front of as many roadblocks as you can.
Just back to what Trev spoke with you, with the two favourites in the Derby. I mean, that's something that I'm big on, that you've got two horses in the market, two good chances. The map is over time is definitely, I mean, things happen in different races, but over time, the map and that better barrier draw, this is 4 versus 14 or something, isn't it? That definitely, where you have to lean to the one with the better map for sure.
Yeah, and
it's a good example of that. And there's a good example of that in the mile race with Mr. Quickie and Buffalo River. The other day, Mr. Quickie drew barrier 1 and settled like 4 lengths off Buffalo River, and this side it's drawn barrier 13. It's going to be at least 8 or 10 lengths off.
Spot on.
All right, thank you very much, Trev, for joining us.
Henry.
Don't go too hard. It's a long week.
Oh, okay. Thanks, mate.
Well, that's Trev's advice.
It's all about pacing yourself.
Casey, Mint Bet, what's your advice for us?
G'day, Bet Doctors. It's an absolute thrill to be with you ahead of the Christmas Day of Melbourne Carnival, or Global Carnival, let's be honest. It's a coming-out party for the Vics, and I've got to tell you, I'm pretty hot under the saddle.
Yeah, welcome. On your case.
We've given you one of the trickiest races, Case, but you're a second-generation bookie. Your old man was a bookie?
Old man, he's a bookie, and his great-grandfather was a bookie in the 20s and 30s, so there was no escaping those bloodlines. I tried. But, yeah, so my mentality towards the punt is not really to punt, it's to pot. So I went through this race trying to find a hole in the runners, and unfortunately I found one in all of them. So I think there's probably... This is one of those races, Sammy, that if we're on the rails, you'd be making a nice, healthy book and no need to stick your neck out too far.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I can't remember a Coolmoore stud stakes that's this complicated. Like, usually it's the Golden Rose form, but you've got Farnham off, that Huey ride, and then you've got September Run off a massive break, the form around that strong. Yeah, Cam, we've given you a bouncer.
Casey.
Oh, sorry, Casey.
The Ripper.
Cam's his dad.
I get that. Cam will be happy with that, though. He's happy again. But, so you're dead right. I'm looking for the honour roll is just quality horsepower, and they're all generally coming to the race with a couple of, solid 12, top line 1,200 metre runs, or the Golden Rose, 1,400 metre runs. Historically, the J.J. Atkins has thrown a few this way. And then we got this field, which really hasn't made it through those races. You got Farnham, a massive wild card, looking to be the first slipper winner to win since Sepoy, which Sepoy had a decent 2011, as we can recall. It's full of wild cards. There's a couple of different form lines, and a couple of horses that are going to have to lift to be in the mix, but you can't really write them off.
All right. Well, Casey, you said you've found a knock on most of the chances. I'm just interested to see what your knock on September Run is. Off that, is it off because it's off that big peak last start, or the up in trip, or what do you sort of don't like?
It is a slight query at the 1,200. It might prove me silly, but did need oxygen last time at the 1,200 metres, slow to recover. It was first up, did sit outside the leader. Yep, so you could probably excuse it. That's fine. It's flogged him in those two 1,100 metre races, and probably been switched off on the line rather than going through it. The sectionals are, prove its class. I don't think there's a query there, despite the grade it's been running in. But at 3-1 or something less.
Yeah, it's 420 with Top Sport.
Pretty well found, and I noticed that our friends at Top Sport are sticking out at the 420, which is a good sign that possibly they might push it out and lay it. But so that's my knock at $4. $6. I'm happy. $4. It's probably going to get something out of it. DK.
Yep, good as gold.
What about roughies in the race? Have you found something outside the market that you'll speculate?
So I ended up in the fetal position sucking my thumb last night after doing all this. So, and then I went to bed at a reasonable hour, and I had a dream that Swat That was the winner. So I think that if that's how my brain works and it's just spat out a simulation, then fantastic. If not,
I can't believe this.
There's a few...
you got any history there? What's your strike rate with the dreaming the winner's like?
What do you drink before you go to bed?
Not great strike rate recently, DK, but they go through all different codes of dog races and all sorts. So, a bit happening there. We haven't got enough time to unpack that. But what I want to talk about is probably the knock on the Sapphire runners. I just don't like ranting. If you want to back one, back Anders if it's recovered. So I'll be knocking them. I'll be knocking Glenfiddich. It's got to do something ridiculous to win this race. If it does win, it's sort of Redkirk Warrior-esque, and we've got an exciting autumn for it ahead. Great winter racing. There's a Flying Award has a few fans, but I thought it was going to have to improve. So, and looking how they're going to run it. So Wild Ruler was the one I was kind of leaning towards, but he's a bit of a shag on a rock out on barrier 14, up on the speed. Going to have to probably sit a bit posted, whereas Farnham and Swats That might boot up in the middle, and then you got Anders booting up on the flat side. So September Run is probably going to follow them over, the Farnham and Swats That, try and get some cover through that middle section. If you watch the way Exceedance won, Merchant Navy, they just sort of snuck their way over to the flat side from off the speed and then exploded. So I'm sure Willow might have something like that in mind. If it's good enough, I'm sure it'll put in some amazing sectionals like it does. Just whether it finds one a little quicker on the day at $4, that's what's query. Swats That is the one that I really liked its run in the race that I can't quite pronounce, but it was second to September Run. Thought he was kind of in that where I think that Wild Rule is going to get stuck out on a bit of a shag on a rock. He ran really well, wasn't that far behind September Run. So if she gets a softer run, the $9 about it will be something I might nibble at.
Yeah, I think he's narrowed it down.
Yeah.
I think September run very hard to beat for me.
Yeah.
Craig Williams has got the key to this horse. As he said, it was a bit first up at 1200 on speed probably wasn't its go. Craig's riding it with cover to finish off, and it's savaging the line. And but you wouldn't be probably losing on Swats. That's the right form line for mine.
I've been speaking to our Caulfield Hutman, and Snowy in the know with Snow is expecting Farnan to bounce back heavily. And Casey, what is your next best on the card? Have you got a moral for us or something? A little bit of a good thing later on the card or early in the card?
Yeah, well, just touching on Farnan quickly, he definitely won't be losing on the race. You just can't. I'm not keen to risk it. If it shows up, Bossy. The narrative with him pinching the ride off Bowman last week, how did that end up? And now
Bossy's back, baby.
Bowman gets the sack and Bossy is sitting front and centre. So for the rest of the card, I'm pretty keen on Odium, who's going to come through the Empire Rose. So first sectional stacked up against the winner of the Guineas. Very similar sectionals in the two different 3-year-old classics for those two horses who... Ollie Kirk needs no introduction.
I'm all over it.
I think
Odium,
all over it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Casey might know our man Snowy, Mark Bilney, because in the know with Snow is also tipping race 5, number 12, Odium. So
49 kilos.
49 kilos in the Empire Rose.
And there's a good history of the fillies running really well in the race. So it's pressing the M word for mine. But I'm not going to drop it.
Yeah, very, 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 very close to it. I think there was a spruik on another horse in the race, which escapes me, but I'll be with Odium. And for a bit of value, a couple of good judges. The assaulter from Malta up in Sydney, Jason as a party, is very keen on the Wild Planet form. So he likes the two speckies here with a bit of value, and when he speaks, I listen. So Wild Planet with a Probabile Fun Star form in the Cantala.
Yep.
And one more roll of the dice maybe for a Cascadian who's been... hauling ass around Caulfield, gets to Flemington, and it's going to be 20s. So we'll see what we can do with a couple of parlays through that sort of thing.
Big roughie there in the Cantala Stakes. Casey, you've been huge on debut.
Massive, wow.
I tell you what, the way that Casey operates, I'd love to get him in a live stream and just put the camera on him, watch him bet his brains out for 6 hours.
I've seen him at work at the Magic Millions a few years ago. Had a few. Well, we were on the bubbles by then, weren't we, mate? We were talking bubbles.
Yeah, there was, as I say, all shoots to the wind by the time I ran into you. But yeah, look, I'm sweating heavily. 2 sleeps out. I need to get back on the bit here, or else I'm going to be paddling come Saturday. But very excited, guys, and thanks for having me.
That was Casey McCutcheon. Follow him on Twitter on @MintBet. Next up, we are talking Sydney with Matt Taylor. And if you like any of our tips from today's show, TopSport are doing a Group 1 special. It's a happy hour on Fridays from 3 p.m. where they're offering up 110% markets. Set your alarms. You don't want to miss this one. Make sure you gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858 if you're concerned. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. It's the only place where the pro punters come on to show you how it's done. We are having a look, of course, at Sydney now. We are turning our attention to the Golden Eagle.
Spread Eagle.
We've got Nick in the studio, as you can tell, DK, and we're welcoming on Matt Taylor.
How you going?
Hey.
Sammy, DK and Scoot.
Here we
How
are.
we?
Very
Ready
good,
for a
very
big
excited.
derby day, mate.
I thought it was Golden Eagle Day.
It's underwater up there, isn't
In
it?
New South Wales. Didn't even know.
Bit lippy when the borders close, isn't he?
Oh, dear.
Heavy track. It's a heavy 8 at the moment with quite a bit of rain forecast. We're expecting 15 to 35 mils according to the BOM this morning.
It's been a really wet week in Sydney, and that'll just finish it off. As DK would know, raining on race day can really chop tracks up. So, yes, I'm going to be moving my selections around to some fit sort of wet track types for sure. But, Rose Hill, I think you want to get off the fence by late in the day. But maybe inside it to start with, but it should chop away, I reckon.
So are you going to favour horses drawn wide or inside? Or inside in run will be still okay, or off the fence and then fanning wide?
Yeah, look, I think inside early and then fanning, and then after that middle to wide. It's very hard at Rose Hill just to sit wide and be forward, but if you can just sort of start sneaking runs through the middle, they're the perfect sort of runs, I reckon, on a day like tomorrow. So yeah, middle barriers and middle to wide barriers probably a safe play.
Well, Funstar is the favourite there. It's gone from $5.50 into $4.80. Alligator Blood out at $7.50. On the Drift, Colette, $14 into $7.50. And then we're out to double figures with Sierra Sue. Where are you going, Matt?
Yeah, so look, Funstar is racing so well, but barrier 22, I'm not sure what it'll be after scratchings, but almost the widest barrier there. I just think it's going to get run down late like it did last start. So for me, even though we've sort of missed the top odds, I think the horse 13, Colette, absolute mudlark. Barrier 6 can get that sort of run, and just Jennings will start sort of angling off the fence as soon as he can. And yeah, being a mudlark, just finishing a couple of lengths behind Funstar last start, I think. This $7.50 I think is still a great price, and I think it will start shorter tomorrow, on Saturday.
Wow. Matt, do you, there's a couple of horses I just jotted down, the Pickle I Am, especially at Rose Hill, Brandenburg, Rodini, Bottega, all at big odds, and even a horse like Sierra Sue was really visually impressive last start, and I think all those should get through the wet, but did any of them rate for you, Matt?
It's the Mexican hope, Sierra Sue. Don't worry about that. We're coming up there to pinch this race.
Yeah, Sierra Sue, a great chance. I love the record the horse has, but you see 7 starts, 5 wins. Like, that's really good to do. And if it wins on Saturday, we're looking like 8 starts, 6 wins. You start saying, gee, this is a really good horse, and you'd be ashamed to let it go around and not win. So, yeah, it's a great run from last start, and I could definitely have something on it. Same
connections as the Cox Plate winner. Same ownership, so they got to have a very big 7 days. Very big.
They've probably got a couple of doubles going into it too, or something like that. But maybe by race 8, sometimes you see them all start tracking wide, and from barrier 1, Nash might, who knows, you might save all the ground. And if the horse loves the wet, sort of being inside, if you handle the wet, being inside is probably not too bad. So, it's a good roughie. And Bottega, like you said, Scoot, I could give you the hope. It's been luckless in its last sort of 3 or 4 starts. Yeah, I'll give them both a good shot for sure.
Now, we gave you a tough race in the Golden Eagle, but you've actually got a little bit of a bank builder for us in the first, am I right?
I do. Yeah, from the $7.5 million Golden Eagle to the bench to the 75 highway.
Hey, they pay the same odds, mate. $3 in the Golden Eagle, $3 in a maiden.
Exactly.
Wherever, so who cares?
Exactly, at DK. It doesn't help us, the prize money. But,
that's right.
Yeah, mate, boys and girls. Number 8, Blitzer. I suppose there's a question mark on the wet track, but last start they threw the blinkers on, and this horse just put length on the field. Ran really good time. Barrier 5 is perfect to start the day. There's plenty of pace on. So Blitzer. Sammy, what price do you have Blitzer, number 8?
We got it at $4.40.
Got the
It's
wet
the
track
favourite.
form. It's a beauty.
They even give you boosts and stuff at Top Sport. They're very generous. Get into that. Get into the 440. Boosted as well. Be rude not to.
Thanks, Matty. You're a superstar.
You
All right, guys. Thank you.
You can have Gus Gould as well. Leave me out of him.
Oh, Gussie. He copped a bad rap, Gus, doesn't he? I don't mind Gus. I don't mind him.
Good luck on the weekend,
See you
Matty.
guys.
See ya.
Thank you. And to you. Bye.
That was Matt Taylor from the Racing Rant. If you're having a bet this weekend, make sure you head to Top Sport. They're offering the best of the best to win $10,000 on each race, Melbourne and Sydney. That is just huge. But make sure you are always betting according to your financial situation. Stake right, be responsible. Call 1-800-858-858 if you're concerned.
Look at the sky, spot the planes. Where would I go on holiday?
Welcome back to Bet Doctor. My name's Samantha. You're listening to DK and Scoot, and we're about to welcome the star of the show, actually, as it happens, Fletcher. Steve Fletcher, welcome.
How are you? Was that my mate Tim Freeman in the intro?
Yeah, the Whitlams. You know that one?
I was. Of course. What a good band. I enjoyed that.
Welcome to the show, mate. You got some big news. You just, your Little Birdie's inaugural tipster. The Fletcher Files are back.
They're back. They're back in conjunction with Little Birdie and Top Sport, the only real bookmaker.
Now, what's got you out of hibernation from tipping? Why are you doing it?
I'm sick to death of these bookmakers always backslapping each other when they cruel all the punters. And I'd like to see punters win. You know, even if I'm not betting, I always cheer on the favourites. So if we can sort of assist the punters in backing a few winners, it's nice to make it a bit tricky for them.
Beauty.
So
I love that mentality. But I do the same. If I'm never betting the race, what's the best back? Cheer at home. Cheer at home for the punters.
That's what I do. Yeah, every time. Always kick the favourites home if there's no bet on the race.
That's it.
That's a great way to look at it. Fletch, how'd you get in the game? Even I don't know the answer to this question, but what led you to become a pro punter?
Going from the start, I guess, I was at university back in the late 80s and sort of heading down to the tab and fiddling around there, and then I ended up going to the races most days on days off. And what I targeted early days was just playing what was called the extra and daily doubles. There was a good little edge there because you could go there, had all the screens up, you could only get on track. The pools were huge because pari-mutuel was booming back then, and 90% of the pool was already in an hour before the race, so it was almost like a fixed odds dividend you could sort of play with and identify any sort of severe overs, and there always was. For instance, if a Sydney horse went to Melbourne, it probably was a $5.50 shot, but you could extrapolate the doubles boards and you could work out that's probably a $2.80 shot through the doubles. So that means there's big value through the other runners. And also I like that because it encouraged discipline because you're only playing 2 doubles a meeting, maximum 4 meetings a day. So rather than sort of going there, rolling to race, chasing and all that old rigmarole, you sort of would come home regularly with a good profit. So I sort of did that for the first few years, and that financed my university days well and truly. Then I got my degree, worked at Macquarie Bank, I think it was called, or Westpac or somewhere for 2 weeks. Through that when I worked at Sky Channel, and I stayed there for 15 years. And at Sky Channel, it was a dream job because you'd sit in the control room, you'd put up all the markets on the screen, you liaise with the hosts, you go to do live hostings, used to go around with Graham McNeese, Nick Robin, Hilton Donaldson. It was always great fun. And that led me back to the races out of the studio. So I ended up betting fairly big out there, and I was travelling to all these remote tracks, and there was even better value. And then by then I've sort of hit 2,000, and then I thought, well, I'm betting more sort of in lunchtime than I'm earning here in a year. So I sadly had to leave it. I was more than happy to stay, but it was great.
Responsibly.
Yeah. And then I started going to all the dog tracks every night. I go to Wentworth Tank Mondays, Gosford Tuesday, Bullo Wednesday, Dapto Thursday. Friday night would be Harold Park or Richmond to bet on Richmond and Geelong dogs. And Saturday night at Wentworth Park. I teamed up with a couple of genius pro punters who were ahead of their time with getting dog tapes, and that was back before Sky. We obviously had Sky at home. And then eventually back again to doing the horses, and that's where I am today.
What a story. Remarkable.
So that's the chronology.
Gosh, I think I met you at Wentworth Park, actually. Now, you spoke earlier about discipline, and I know that that's what I need and the guys here need, and you're offering, was it $22 a week to get your tips, your Metro tips for Wednesday and Saturday? That's phenomenal.
Good value. And then I think, Fletch, you're going to kick off with all 4 days of the Flemington Carnival, and then after the Carnival, you're just going to regress to Wednesday and Saturday tips. So I think it's, $22 for a week, or you want the first month, it's $77, and you'll throw in a couple of curveballs out wide just to keep the bookies on their toes. Sounds sensational, mate.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. The curveballs are the good ones too. I love those. That's where there's a lot of anomalies. So I had the situation where I give my close mates a couple of good curveball ones, and it was becoming quite annoying because if they're all getting sort of restricted, but if there's a lot of us backing them at the same time, let's just see if the bookmakers really want to restrict every person on their books.
Can't wait.
This guy makes more money than you can imagine on the punt. If you want his tips and you'd be mad to say no, make sure you go to Little Birdie and jump on our shop there and sign up.
Definitely would be getting the A set, so hopefully we'll all win.
Thank you
I want
so
the
much,
Punters to
Fletcher.
win. All right, no worries.
Good
See
luck
you
at
guys.
Cup Week, mate.
That was Fletcher, and now Terry Leighton joins us to talk Ascot.
G'day, guys.
Now, a couple of big races over at Ascot in the lead-ups to the Winterbottom. The Prince of Wales Stakes. He might have found one at odds for us.
Yeah, it's starting to heat up over here in the west. 32 today, 36 tomorrow, and the racing just gets hotter on Saturday. How's that for a segue? There's two that have come up above my price in the Prince of Wales. A bit boringly, the favourite Stage Man in it's actually a really weak weight for age race. I've marked Stage Man $3. Should be flashing at him late. You can get $3.60 top sport. We've got to be having something on that to not lose on the race, guys. But I found one at a price here. The horse number 3 called Durandal ran third 5 months ago. Ran third in a Roma Cup to Vega Magic and the Velvet King when ridden aggressively. 2 starts since has been jagged back in the field and isn't a horse that's ever had any success when being jagged back and ridden cold. So look for Durandal to be aggressive from the good gate, land just behind the speed, and I'd be pretty surprised if he's not in the finish at $34 and $8 a hole on Top Sport, which is the best price I can see as well.
Now,
I love a juicy
Huge.
slot.
Yeah.
Now, a horse we know well over here, the old 9-year-old resuming over there, Malibu Style. Terry, has he trialled up all right, or have you seen much of him?
He has. Yeah, he has trialled up well. He hasn't raced in WA, I think, for the best part of, it's been several years since he's raced in WA. Look, I'm backing a 9-year-old, tipping a 9-year-old in Durandal, but that really is value orientated. But with Rock Magic as well, the 11-year-old returning, Jesus. If I do get done this race, I would love to see Rock Magic being the one to storm me on the outside and grab me. But it just shows you that there's not a huge amount coming through for the top of the market to really be hammered by 9 and 11-year-olds. So, look, I think we can find some value in Durandal. It's a real speed map type of bet and really probably a place-heavy bet at that $8 Top Sport have up at the moment.
And before you go, in the Asian Bow, there's a horse named after Sammy, Inspirational Girl, $2.25 favourite. Are we backing or are we going to lay it?
There's a horse named after you too, Red Can Man. We're probably going to back it, but not at the current price. I think we'll see a little bit of a creep out. There'll be some money for Red Can Man because Red Can Man has the softest map you'll ever see out in front. Inspirational Girl will probably be 3 or 4 back the fence and need some luck in our short Ascot straight, but I'm pretty much gutsy in Inspirational Girl Railway Stakes, so I'll be sitting back and personally cheering that she can win and qualify for that race. But look, Red Can Man at close to $4 probably is the bet at the moment, to be honest.
Perfect. Short and sharp. It's how we like it. Hey, yes, Jay.
Incredible stuff. You can catch Terry Leighton on Twitter by following him on @Perth Racing Guru. Thank you so much, Terry. Have a good one.
Thanks, Sammy. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Hey, mate.
Thanks, bud.
Huge show, boys.
Oh, it's just gone and just gone, just quickly like that. Amazing. Can't wait for Derby Day. Genuine highlight with Fletch on the show for the first time. So the Fletcher Files are going to debut this weekend, and DK, young Werther, probably going to invest in that. And anything else out wide?
Going to have something Coolmoore race 1 tomorrow, Seattle Dancer, $500,000 filly resuming, Area 2 or something, or box seat, and I think it'll be hard to beat. First up, Coolmoore tomorrow.
And Sunday, we're back, Sammy, for another Bet Doctor for the Melbourne Cup preview. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Get all your info right here. We'll have another episode, as you said, on Sunday. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe, make sure you don't miss any of it. We do have the smartest people in Australia in racing tuning in and giving us our tips. You're mad to miss it. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.